Hi, I'm Carol Keller, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States. Today I have a card using the Impressions Abloom bundle. So for those of you who like flowers, you're really going to like this one. And if you've watched my videos before, you know that sometimes I will make changes when I do a card on video. I'm going to make some changes from the original that you see, and I'm going to do that today. I needed to do the card for a tutorial, and I was kind of under a deadline, and I was happy with the result, but I felt like something was missing. And when I saw someone else's card, I realized what it was. So I'm going to step it up just with one little addition. At least I think so, at least for now, maybe two. And I hope you like them. All right, let's get started. Here is the card I have for you today. And like I said, I'm going to step it up just a little bit. We're going to do something on the base of the card to make it a little more interesting. And so I hope you like that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to move that to the side so we can get started. I've got a Balmy Blue card base. So that's what we're starting with, and the first thing we're going to do is stamp on the background. So, and I'm trying to think this through because we are going to stamp the sentiment directly on here too, so I need to keep that in mind, which I think means we'll do some stamping off, or second generation stamping. It's called either one. I'm going to bring in a scrap, and we are going to stamp first here before we stamp here. That's what stamping off or second generation stamping is. I think we'll use the smallest flower, and we will use Balmy Blue for this because I really just want a subtle background that's tone on tone. So I'm going to ink it and then stamp off on the paper and then stamp here. And I'm just going to do it randomly around the card, knowing that the middle part is going to be covered with this, which I'll show you in a little bit here. But I just want a little bit of subtle kind of texture, I guess, around. And the I appreciate you should overlap this, but it should be okay. I think I'm going to do just a little more. We'll add a little bit to the edge here, I think. I do like going off the edge. And maybe here as well. All right, and I'm going to be good with that. Like I said, I left the middle blank. I didn't stamp there because I know it's going to be covered up anyway. But that should give us a good start. And while we've got that Balmy Blue, we'll do the sentiment too on the front. And it says, I appreciate you. We'll see how it goes. So I want it centered. Oh yeah, I like that. And see, if I had stamped it full strength, that I would be totally lost because it would be exactly the same color, same shading, whatever you want to call it, as the background. And this way it's different. And so originally I added the So Very Much sentiment on the inside of the card. And I was thinking maybe I would do So Very Much down here. I think I might try that. This is up a little bit higher than this, which is okay. We're just going to move this up just a little bit. I think that will be fine. So I am going to try that, and we'll put a different sentiment on the inside. So I do like to show different ways of doing it. So I'm going to bring in that inside. I've got a piece of Lemon Lolly cardstock, and it's cut to first layer size, so 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So we're going to use a different sentiment, like I said. We don't want to put the same thing on the inside. All right, so on the inside, we're going to stamp for being there. So it just continues the sentiment. I appreciate you so very much for being there. We'll put that aside for the moment because we are going to use the Balmy Blue also to stamp a flower. So I've got a scrap here. Again, tone on tone. So, but we are going to do some stamping off as well. Let me bring in my scrap. Because this time we've got a two-step stamp. So we've got two stamps that you layer on top of each other. And for this one, I'm going to make sure it's inked well, but then I'm going to stamp off and then stamp it on my cardstock. And then I'm going to take the detail stamp, the filler stamp. I guess the other one's the filler. This is more the detail. And I don't need this anymore, or I will in a minute, but not for this. And I'm going to line it up as best I can in the center. It's hard to see. Let's see. Sometimes it helps. Ooh, that was way better than I thought it would be. Sometimes it's better to do the darker one first and then do the lighter one over it. I think we're going to do that for the other one. Surprised even myself on that one. So I'm going to put that aside because we're going to cut it out. And I'll show you the dies at the end, but it will add some detail. If you can see in here, and in all of these flowers, there's detail from the dies. So it's the two-step stamp and layering the dies. So I'll talk about that again a little later, but I think that's all we need the Balmy Blue for. Yeah, because we're going to stamp another flower on the envelope, but I think maybe I'll use the Fresh Freesia, one of the other flowers, for that. So we are done with Balmy Blue, and next I'm going to bring in Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to tell you, I had a little bit of an accident, a mishap with my Fresh Freesia. It needed re-inking. So I grabbed my re-inker and I re-inked it, and then I realized I used Petunia Pop instead of Fresh Freesia. So what I did, in case this ever happens to you, what I did was take my ink pad, rinse it out really well under the sink to get as much of the ink out as possible, let it dry, and then I re-inked with the Fresh Freesia. And you can see that's why the edges are not inked, because I sort of didn't want to make too much of a mess, but we're going to see how it goes. It's very juicy, but I did some test runs and I think it's going to be okay. So I've got a scrap of Fresh Freesia now, and we're going to do two flowers. So I think I will start, I'm going to start with the bigger one, and I'm going to start with the detail part that is full strength, that you don't have to stamp off for. So, and you can see there are bubbles, it's juicy. I must have used an old re-inker too. We have a newer formula that shouldn't do that, so I'm thinking this is an old one, like all sorts of issues, but I'm just going to stamp it like that because that's going to be fine. I think it is. Let's see. Yeah. I'm just looking at the detail here to see, but that's pretty much what it looks like. Let me see. I'll do it one more time on the back and see which one I like better. I think I might like that better. Let's see. Oh no, they're pretty similar. I'm going to use this one though. Okay, and before I bring in my scrap to stamp off on, I'm going to stamp the small one up here. And now I'm going to bring in my fill stamp and my scrap. So you'll see this is very juicy and bubbly and doesn't look good, but when I stamp it, it does fill so that it's all one solid color, and that's good. I'm going to see if this works better. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to work better. Line it up. At least I hope it will. Yes, beautiful. So you can see where the edges are, and some of them are meant not to be complete. So like right here, that's not a flaw in the stamp. That's how it's supposed to stamp. At least I think so. We're going to do the same thing with the smaller stamp, with the filler stamp. Stamp it off. And for this one, let's see, it's hard to know. It's a little harder to know how it lines up, but I think it's like this. Yes, I think it's like this. Oh, beautiful. All right, very happy with that. So just doing that, stamping off, just adds a little subtle color, but you can see it that it's a little bit darker than the cardstock, so it just helps to add that detail. And then we're also going to do this on the inside. So I'm going to grab, I should have done it all at once, but that's okay. We'll do it on the inside, that larger flower, and we'll do it on the envelope. So we're going to do it this way, and I'm going to grab my envelope and stamp here. And again, we're going to bring in the scrap. Let's do this. And the filler stamp. So our envelope's done. And one more time. As you get closer, it's easier to see that you're in the right spot. So I tend to go pretty slowly. And you can see that's how it's easier to line it up that way. And see, again, especially on the yellow and the lemon lolly, you can see that subtle color there. But just take your time, go slowly, and you know, wait until you can kind of see the outlines, and your layering will be good. And of course, it's always good to practice before you actually, when you're doing it for the first time, it's a great idea to practice before you do it on your cardstock. All right, and I'm going to bring in lemon lolly and a scrap of lemon lolly. We're going to do the same thing, except this time we're going to stamp one big and two small middles for the flower. And actually, because these are so small, I don't see a need to use there's another one that has the detail or the fill, but I don't think it's necessary, so I'm not going to use it. I am going to bring it back, and it is not quite circular, so I think there's kind of a right way, but as long as you're basically in the center, it's not going to matter too much. I'm going to bring my envelope in once more and do the same thing. So that has a center also. So our inside is done, our blue flower is done, our freesia is done, one of our insides is done, and then I just need the smaller one. Same as with the larger one, there's one that's more detailed that I'm using today and another one for filler, so I think those are more of an either or kind of thing. And I'm separating them a little bit so I can cut them out. Hopefully I'm going to do a second one here because this is very close to the edge and I don't want to lose any of the circularity of the stamp. So I believe that is all our, oh, one more thing to stamp, that's right. I need Pool Party ink. And I've got a leaf stamp. We're going to stamp one of those. Well, actually this will stay here. I've got one last scrap and we'll do the same process. So stamp one. I've got my filler stamp. I'm going to stamp that off again before I stamp it on the leaf that I stamped already. Beautiful. Very stressful to do this on camera, so I'm very happy with my results today. I have to brag a little bit because it is very stressful. You have no idea. All right, but now I'm going to cut out all of these, and I've got some other things to cut out, and then I'll be right back. Sorry, I went to pick everything up and realized I need to do 2 leaves. So I've got my Pool Party ink again, and we'll do it one more time and hope that this is as successful as the previous ones. Got my scrap once more. Beautiful. All right, now I will be right back. Okay, now we're going to finish assembly. So like I said, I cut out everything that we had stamped, and I actually had to redo one of the leaves because when I put the die on there, it was off and it just didn't look good. So I redid that. But I also cut out the 2 stems, one of the different leaves that come in the die set, and then these, and I'm going to show you all of that at the end, kind of how I did it. because to me that's the most tedious part, is lining everything up, especially with the flowers and the centers and the leaves. So I'll show you that at the end, but we're going to put this on right away and get that done. And I didn't say this before, but I chose the lemon lolly. Usually you use white on the inside, but I like there to be continuity between the inside and the outside. And because there was no white, I didn't want to use white. I decided to use the lemon lolly. And to me, I'll show you on this one, it gives the idea of, here's the background, and then you see it again on the inside, almost like it's a cutout, even though it's not. So I hope you like that. And then we'll see how it looks with our flowers that we stamped. So for this, let's see, the easiest way to do it, we're going to do it like this. The I appreciate you. Oh, good. It's still pretty centered. It's up a little bit higher. There's a little bit less space here than here, but I think it works. Maybe we'll even move it up a little more, actually, because we want to see that. We don't want that to be hidden away. So for this, there are two different dies that come with the set. One cuts out just the circle, so I did that, and then one cuts out basically the circle and the outline at the same time. And I use that to cut this out, so I have actually a green center that has an adhesive sheet on the back. As you can see, I put one here. So we'll put the center on first with some seal. And so I want it lined up coming from the bottom, but I want it even this way too. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. To make sure that it's even, you line up these sides with the edges of the card, and then this is going to go over it. So on this card, I cut out the die that cuts this out twice, once in Pool Party and once in Lemon Lolly. So there was an adhesive sheet on the back of this. This time I decided to try the other die, and based on just putting them together, it feels like it's a little bigger, but maybe not. That this feels like it's a little bigger than this one, but maybe not. So we'll see. I'm going to peel off the adhesive sheets, and we'll see how easy it is to line them up. So maybe we want to start with the side again. Let's see. And it's nice because the adhesive sheet is a little bit forgiving. Is that going to work? Yeah, we can line it up right with the edges. And it is narrow. It seems like that adhesive sheet doesn't quite want to stick. And if it doesn't, I'll use my multi-purpose liquid glue, but I'm hoping that if I burnish it enough that it will stick, because it is very narrow. And so using the glue to me just makes more of a mess. Okay, now we will put the stems, well, we'll put the flowers, because I want to see, we'll at least tentatively place them. And I wanted the large one to overlap the top a little bit, but make them look like it was a little bouquet. And also keeping in mind then, this stem obviously goes for the flowers that are the same kind. And then this too. So what's going to happen is this one is a lot longer, and so we're just going to sneak it underneath and cut it off. What I did was put this down just with some seal. A glue dot would work nicely too. And I think we'll do it this way with the stem coming out on that wide part. And then the same thing with this one. So we're going to move that out of the way right now. And for this, I'm going to use dimensionals, so I can kind of move that to the side. We're going to put on the stems. So the stem has to be, you sneak it under here like this. And yeah, we'll do that, and that will be perfect because it will still overlap the top. And I'm going to snip, but I'll do that in a minute when I put this one on as well. We'll snip the bottoms off so they're flush with the frame. Just take the paper off the stem. And then we're going to sneak it under here. Whoops. Just like that. Yeah. And I'm going to burnish some here, but then I'm going to use my snips. Put that down for a minute. And I want it hopefully right at the edge. Yeah, that's good. Burnish. Is there paper on this still? There is. I was wondering why it wasn't sticking. There's some more paper. Now we'll burnish. And we'll put the centers. For that I used a glue dot. And then the same thing with these. For the leaves, I have, when I die cut this, or ran it through the die cutting machine, I put an adhesive sheet on the back first. So we'll peel that. Just like that. We'll put that one down at the bottom. And I felt like I wanted the different leaf with the different flower and the two leaves that are the same with these two flowers. So at first I tried to get all three of them here, but I didn't like the way it looked. I think I'm going to use a glue dot for this also. Or maybe two, one at each end. Yeah. So instead of putting them all, trying to sort of crunch them in all at the bottom, I decided to put one up here, and that's what I'm going to do again. So first I'm going to grab my dimensionals, and we'll do several on the back. And that should be good. Take the paper off, and then place it on the last stem, kind of overlapping the other two a little bit and overlapping that top edge just a tad. For this, then I'm going to fit it up here. So I'll put another couple of glue dots on there. Could probably get away with just one, maybe toward the tip. And we'll put that there. Let's see, yeah, we'll do it maybe this way. Oh yeah, I like that so much better with the background stamped. What do you think? Post in the comments what you like better, but I just think it gives it a little more. It depends. If you're more of a clean and simple stamper, this is the way to go. And if you like a little bit more detail, this is the way to go. Okay, last but not least, we've got to have our bling. So we've got the two-tone sparkle gems. I'm going to grab my take your pick tool, and I just scattered, whoops, we always need more putty. And I just scattered, you know, a larger one down here. Oh, I wonder if we could even do that at the center of the flower, but it covers up the eye. I don't know if I like that. We'll put it back here the way I did for the other one, the other card. And then a couple of the smaller ones on the opposite end. Maybe here and here. Yeah, I like that, I think. So there it is. I'm going to use my bone folder one more time. That is today's card. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate the comments. And if you make a card like this, please post that as well. I would love to see it. Check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. I've got lots of other card videos. I do scrapbook pages. I do home decor items. I have lots of tips and techniques videos, and I also do beginner videos, and I'm going to be working on a special couple of them this summer. The ones I have right now are kind of little snippets, and I'm going to do a longer one that kind of puts everything together so that if you're a beginner and you feel like stamping is a little scary, I hope to make that a little easier for you. Oh, and let me show you, that's right, what I used. I almost forgot. Here is the Impressions Abloom stamp set. So you can see the sentiments. The only one we didn't use today was thanks. And we used all of the flowers. The only thing we didn't use were these and the stem. Then for the dies, I wanted to show you those for sure because I wanted to show you how I use them. So this one cut out just this. This one cuts out both like I did for this. So they definitely nest inside of each other. But I still think, you know, you can do it either way. I just didn't need to use all my adhesive sheet. I didn't need an adhesive sheet on the back of this, which is why I did it differently. But what I did want to show you was the way all of these dies are meant to work together. So after you've stamped your image, if that's what you're doing, because you really don't have to stamp, but I wanted the layers of color, so I did stamp first. You could just cut them out. But either way, once you stamp your image and you're going to line up, kind of show you how it works, line up the die. Let's see, I think that's right, yeah. And so you're going to do that and make sure you've got all the edges lined up, and then you're going to fit your die in. So sometimes, you know, if you're not sure which way it goes, you just have to turn it a little bit this way and that. This one goes this way. And so once I had it lined up with this centered, this part centered inside this one, I use painter's tape, or you could use washi tape, and I put some over that, right over the cardstock and the dies before I ran it through so that it wouldn't move, because then I knew it was going to cut it out the right way with not, you know, extra white space showing. I mean, I think I lined them up pretty well, and that's why I redid one of the leaves, because when I cut the first one out, it didn't line up right. And so I lost all of, you know, a lot of my stamping, and then there was kind of white space on one end. So I just redid it. So that was by far the most tedious part of this, was lining up these, because these are kind of two-step dies for lack of a better term. But I think the result is really stunning. I love the fact that there's color, layers of color, and also some dimension from the dies. I hope you like them too. And that's it. So thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you again soon. Happy stamping.